All right. So yeah, congratulations on scoring 710, Q49, V38, your fourth attempt. How does it finally feel? I think I should just ask this question upfront.
It does feel good that I was able to finally break that barrier of 700, which I was trying since the past one and a half year.
Okay.
Yep. So it does feel very great.
Okay. And you someone really good in quant, and so verbal has been a problem for you. So let's kind of walk us through your attempts, starting from that first attempt where you got a V30 with a 660, and how did you prepare, then second, third, and then let's kind of focus on what kind of pivoted verbal for you.
Right. Again, in the first attempt, it was just self-study because that's what I heard, that self-study is more than enough to crack GMAT. So I used to solve official guides. My friends lended me some booklets from some various other classes as such, but all I used to do was just read and obviously I used to see a few YouTube lectures wherein they talk about how you can solve like SC questions on in 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds. I used to try to just replicate those methodologies. That was one. And secondly, what I realized maybe during the actual attempt is that it's not that easy. And then like by just looking some kind of markers and trying to solve SC questions. Yeah, and by the way, SC was my weakest point in all the attempts. So yeah, like it wasn't working out because every time I would get stuck between two or sometimes even three options, and then there's so much time waste that you ultimately end up spending more time, and I couldn't even finish my paper. Like I couldn't finish all the 36 questions in verbal. I used to reach till around 28, 29 question, and I was maybe guessing the rest 5 or 6 questions because of time constraints. So that was more about my first attempt. Second attempt, I did try a more structured approach using one of the courses. Yep. So again, in that, like to be very honest, it's not like your grammar basics change a lot, but what maybe the mistake was then that I wasn't understanding the meaning of my sentence correction questions. Not at all. Like I was just following that these are your markers. Look for very simple subject verb. I wasn't even thinking that maybe like as per the meaning that verb should be associated with subject. I wasn't even thinking such things. So
There's much more
all
grammar, much more markers, much more pattern recognition.
yes, yes. Like pattern recognition was the main thing. Like even the videos that I used to see, like a few YouTube videos, like everyone is talking like, okay, it's a 10-second question, just get in, get out, 10-second question. But I realized that's not what happens in GMAT or 10 or 20 or 30-second question. It's not that easy. So yeah. So that was like my second attempt. Third attempt was just like in a haste because I thought that my second attempt was maybe just because of the bad day. I just quickly booked the next attempt within a month, and I tried to give my third attempt.
You
But it
just
was
didn't believe your score in the second attempt. You said, no, it has to be better. Maybe that will
yeah.
let me just go take this again.
Yes, I mean because I did even give official GMAT, right? And in my official GMAT, at like not official, the
The
official
mock.
mocks, right? And I never got a score as low as 660, and I always got something between 680, 690 to 750, 760 also at times. Maybe a couple of them were reattempts, but I did get 740, 750 in one
I
of those
think the
mocks.
e-GMAT mocks are the only mocks where you did not get a 700, where you just got a
Yes,
690, right? Where the other
yes,
mocks inflated your scores.
right, right. And yeah, to be very honest, maybe I'll come to that later, but official mocks might be outdated, I feel sometimes, because your actual GMAT is, I found it way tougher than official mocks. But yeah, so second and third attempt just went by, took a bit of a break after that. There were some problems at home. I had to sort those out. I had to shift from Mumbai to Bangalore because of my new job. Once I came to Bangalore, I settled in around July, and I started just kind of warming up my brain, used to resolving verbal OG guides and all. But then I did realize that something needs to change, because if it's not worked 2 or 3 times, it won't work again. So that's when I started researching. A few of my friends told me that e-GMAT is good, or and other couple of sources as well. So I did a bit of research, and I did see like e-GMAT has a really good standing record in the last last decade or something. And what maybe intrigued me about e-GMAT was that they have something called as meaning based approach. I was very curious. Like every other place I was studying, they were not at all talking anything about meaning. They were just like find the patterns, recognize the patterns, and see the option. But it wasn't that straightforward for me. So that meaning based approach was something I always heard. I did attempt. I attended. I think one or maybe two webinars as well before I joined e-GMAT. So that is where they explain these things. And
And you kind of recognize it's not a 10-second process.
right. It's not at all a 10-second process. But what I did realize that maybe this is a short process. One, to be very honest, one thing that I always used to think in the beginning is that, is this process going to take a lot of time? I always had that doubt, because obviously when I just started, I used to take 3 or 4 minutes for one sentence correction, because I used to take 2 minutes just to understand the meaning and find errors. And then I used to go to the options. So that was something that again, I started doubting a bit, but I was like, okay, just trust the process, go the way they are saying. And yeah, like I did, then I think what happens is that you innately start understanding where to pause and how to comprehend.
So
Uh,
let's kind of go back. So you bought the course. What
yeah,
is the first thing that you did?
I just uh, started with my, like, so obviously when you buy the course, there are those introductory videos
There's
where you are
onboarding.
kind of briefed about the course. There is this study planner as well.
Hmm.
uh, Although my study, like, my hours did not meet the study plan very coherently, but at least that helped me uh, like build some targets for myself, like, okay, this is how much I need to do before my final attempt. And to be honest, I did, like, after taking the course, I think I within 2 or 3 days I did book my exam on
So
September
it gave you a
26th.
certain amount of certainty, essentially.
Yes, right.
So that was
It did help me understand that, okay, maybe this is how much time I'm going to need for these topics,
Mhm.
especially sentence correction, because that was like my weak point throughout.
And you
So
didn't put in all the hours that you put in over there,
yes,
right? Because I'm
because
looking at this.
yeah,
This was your study plan overall
yeah,
in this case, and yeah, I can see that. Um, um, so yeah, quant was pretty good, and then verbal, I think, is where you needed that help. Okay, so you did that. Then after that, you went through the onboarding. You did the study plan. Then
yep. Then I just started with the course, the sentence correction course.
mm,
Um, Went lecture by lecture, video by video. The good thing I have found about the course, first of all, the approach changed for sentence correction.
mhm.
Uh, Before even sentence correction, they talk about how do you comprehend,
The
which
master
is
comprehension
something that
test.
I never really like paid attention or focused on that area. And that kind of not only helps in sentence correction, but kind of also helps you up speed in critical reasoning and reading comprehension as well, especially reading comprehension. So I understood how do you pause, how do you comprehend stuff, and how you go ahead in a way that you don't need to refer back until unless it is very much needed as per the question. But generally you get a gist of what's happening in maybe like one read,
Mm.
is what I understood. And I started applying that, and then I went to the course. Obviously there are grammar, like there are grammar lessons which are important, but they always the lectures always really stressed on first understand the meaning, which kind of really helped me, because I did not do that before. So now I used to understand, okay, like if I understood the sentence, Okay, this is maybe not a parallel list. What I was just checking based on the patterns, such things, and actually GMAT tests those things. So
So what you're really saying,
grammar is,
things that
yeah,
were grammatically parallel but not logically parallel, you could identify this
yes.
now.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So I was not just blindly seeing the patterns anymore. I was actually understanding what the sentence was trying to say,
Mm.
and then I was going to uh the error analysis, wherein we check uh does the logic and grammar go hand in hand.
Mhm.
So yep. So that kind of that process really helped me. As I said before, I did have a very slight skepticism that this is taking a lot of time, but with more and more practice, that time reduced significantly, and I was able to solve like sentence correction and even to an extent CR and RC questions a bit faster. And I was able to uh, not all 36, but I was able to finish 35 questions, and the last question I'd guessed in my
It was still a big
this attempt.
improvement over the 29
Yeah,
questions that you were doing before.
yeah.
That's good. So, and this is because, I mean, the context I think was really important. Earlier, you were getting, V29, V30, V31, V32. So this time you're getting more challenging questions and you were finishing more questions. So you definitely sped up.
Yep.
Now, I'm looking at your course and you did some, I mean, your attempt's fantastic. Just as I look at this overall, I mean, the overall accuracies are there. Because each of these files is evaluated and I see really good accuracies. But more than that, what I see is good habits here because um, so this is an example where you are in what we call as a top in the P75 bracket, top 75% or top 25% of the people score 89 or higher on this. And the nice thing about this is, not just the time that you took to this, but the fact that you reviewed right after the quiz ended. That for me
Yes.
is a really good habit. And when I look at the fact that, hey, 7 minutes and 11 seconds, and the very fact that you probably got one question wrong, and you still spent 7 minutes reviewing that, that's for me is I think you should have gotten one question wrong in this case. Yeah, this one wrong here.
Yep.
And that's something that, and you can see, the review time on this was phenomenal, about 4 minutes to review this. So
Yep.
those are really good habits. Essentially, that I applaud the kind of effort that you put in here.
Yep. Actually, that was one thing I again, it was also said at the beginning of the course that even if you get an answer right, just review it. And that is what I started doing, because it might just happen you got the answer right, but if your reasoning was not correct behind getting that answer right, then you are
Mm.
just on the wrong path. So that is what I learned. And I used to review almost, if not practically all questions. I used to at least see it. It might be an easy question, but I will see it just once again, that what I say and what's given either in the explanation or in the videos, uh, does it match somewhere? It should match somewhere. Obviously, there might be 4 or 5 errors in the sentence, but am I able to understand maybe at least two or three
Yeah,
or
so the two or three you identified are the same errors, and did you identify them for the
yes.
right reasons or so? So now, did you take mocks this time? I know you took the
Uh,
e-GMAT mocks, but other than that,
I took the Sigma, the Scholaranium mocks, and I did score. I did not cross 700 in that, but yep, I think I reached till 690. My verbal score did fluctuate a little bit. I know that it in the middle it went to V35 and came down to V32. But if you see my V32 attempt, uh, I I was just going for accuracy. I did not go for time in that mock. So that is,
so you did
and
not give
like,
up on questions essentially.
yes, because I wanted to, because I know that I'm going to get such questions. I stopped with all those notions which people used to say that GMAT verbal is not so difficult and not. I was like, no, it is, and I need to start improving my accuracy. So yep, so that is where, like, although I got a V32, but I was like, okay, let's go for accuracy this time.
So,
And
so
after that,
for you, it wasn't truly a mock attempt, essentially.
yeah,
It was a
yes,
practice attempt, and I can see that actually when I look at this here. Let's go
yeah,
back, and here is as your last mock attempt, and the accuracy is phenomenal in the first three blocks, but you've taken a lot longer here, and you had only 4 minutes for the last 8 questions, and yeah, it
Yeah.
tanked. Everything tanked. You were doing really well here.
Yep.
And
Right.
this is where you lost pretty much everything. So yes, I can
Right.
definitely see that ability being in there.
Right. So
So
yep. Actually, yeah, that was my only thing. Like, be a bit quicker, change your approach, especially for sentence correction.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, this is
yeah.
phenomenal. I can see that piece over here. Let me just look at CR. CR somewhat, medium hard. Your accuracy tank. RC not as much in this one, but clearly timing had a big impact overall for this. Here,
Right.
had
Right.
you just marked everything, I think BBB or CCC in this case.
Right. Right. Right.
So yes,
I mean,
definitely.
I used to do that. And to be honest, it is a bit, I would say the mock is a bit on a higher side compared to actual GMAT. Especially with the passages and all, it's a bit more intriguing and a bit more overwhelming. But yeah, like I did significantly,
Mm,
to be very honest, I took just to, because the scholarly mock did not have IR and AWA,
mm,
I just took one attempt before my final GMAT from the official mock, and I kind of scored a 770. But I realized that okay, that's not a
you would
true
repeat it.
indicator as such. But yeah, like I did realize that that mock became so much easier because of this, just to instill a bit of confidence. And
Mm,
then I went in the actual GMAT. The difficulty was more or less pretty much what I faced in Scholar in mocks.
mm,
It's just that maybe sometimes the passages and or maybe a bit shorter, or maybe yeah, that was the only difference. But practicing here kind of really gave me the confidence to go and walk in the like to that exam room and just I was
mm,
like I never had that kind of confidence that okay, this has to be right or this cannot be right.
mm.
That confidence is something that
The
I
test.
got out of this course. Yeah.
So you saw that 710, you saw that V38. What was the first feeling?
Uh, Sigh of relief, really, that okay, it's finally we are there. I'm there, 710
Mm,
from 660, whatever.
mm,
And okay, I fell a bit in Q quants. If quants would if I could maintain a 50, I would have got 720 maybe.
mhm,
But no, not much regret because that's the way I prepared, and that's what I got. So I was pretty happy that okay, I finally crossed that 710 marker, and
mhm,
probably yeah, I should maybe be able to proceed with my
mhm.
ahead like plans with MBA.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Yash, thank you for this. If I were to ask you, I asked this question, what are the three things if you were to tell, if you from today were to tell Yash from 6 months ago, how should you prepare for the GMAT? Or in other words, if you were to tell three things that to prospective test takers, if who are aiming for a 700 plus score, what are the three things that you think they should do? And again, remember, they could be good in quant, good in verbal, or not good in either one. So just general
Yep.
principles.
Um, first and foremost is basics. I mean, if it's quant or verbal, if your basics are not clear, you are going to face a hard time in the exam. So get your basics straight. Um, to speak about verbal specifically, since that was my weak area, uh, you there are no shortcuts. Uh, is something that I learned a very hard way.
Mhm.
There are no shortcuts that many a times we study and listen through various sources. You have to understand what that particular sentence or passage or a paragraph is saying,
Mhm.
uh, and if only after you comprehend you can then go to your grammar rules or other whatever rules are there. Like for SC there are grammar rules. So
Mhm.
yeah, that is like one thing, get your basics straight, there's no shortcut.
Mhm.
Second thing is focus on your weak areas, go for accuracy versus overall time, because time will improve automatically with more and more attempts. But if your accuracy is not improving, you are not going to because yeah, like the more inaccurate you are, GMAT is going to throw your score even
Say
lower.
accuracy first, then worry about timing.
Yeah, right. And last but not the least is uh, so although I know like it looks like I did not study at all for quants and RC and CR, but every mock I gave, I reviewed every single question, whether it's quant or RC or CR. And what I realized is that the question bank is so strong and so exhaustive that uh, just by reviewing a lot of those things, I learned a lot of new things, even in quants, RC, CR as well. Uh,
Remember the
I,
Colonium mocks.
right. For example, like in CR, there's this pre-thinking approach. I did not practice as such. I did not really see the courses in
Hmm.
detail, but I did start applying that. So I learned by analyzing my mocks that, okay, this is how I thought, this is how you can think about it. Uh, so yeah, so these were the
Good
three
things.
mantras
Yeah,
I had.
really good. I agree. I mean, that's very wisely said. I want to add a couple of more things to those, which I think in your context makes sense. First thing, I think from learning from your first attempt, just to add to what you said, hey, just get accuracy first. I think if you've practiced quite a few questions, and if your accuracy is not building up, then practicing more will not help.
Yep,
Just if because if your accuracy isn't going up, it's not going to be practicing after a certain threshold of questions. You're going to practice 50 questions. Your accuracy isn't improving, then change the approach. I think
right.
that's one piece that I would say. Another piece that I would say is I think when you take mocks, understand the feel that you're getting. Are you confident while rejecting marking an
Yes,
answer? Because you, in your case, especially with official marks, because you got high scores there, but you weren't confident, and because of that, you were not able to replicate that
right,
performance on the
right.
real test. And so I think that confidence piece is really important. I also want to just add that piece, one other piece, which I think is very relevant to your case. I would say build good habits. I mean, the way you reviewed every question, people should do that, learn from it. You talked about learning the pre-thinking approach. I think even when you get things right, review right away. I think
Yes,
budget time for reviewing. That's something that I would add to it. Just I think I can see that helped you. So Yash,
yes,
thank you very much. This was really helpful. I'm sure a lot of people would learn from this, and it'll help them get to higher scores.